Welcome to another episode of the TRUEBEAST podcast, brought to you by xdog.com, where you can find the world's greatest fitness and health enhancement harness for dogs, the X-Dog Weight and Fitness Vest. And of course, I got my boy Trevor over here. He went on a journey to go check out a few dogs out in California, and needless to say, he wasn't very impressed.
Lies, fucking lies.
So let's talk about that trip, man. So you had an opportunity to hit up Cali.
Yeah. So I'm on the phone with Fred, and people don't know is I built a community of breeders and guys that I like their dogs. So we literally check in on each other once a week. Hell, I got up this morning, sent Falzone or good old Anthony a message reminding him to bring his ass to nationals. That being said, Fred and I are talking, and I was like, man, I've really wanted to get his dog in front of the camera before nationals. And he said, man, if you get out here, I'll put you up. And so I just was like, 1 second, check the flights, $97 round trip, Friday through Sunday, and got to be around the man's family, shoot his kids, have his wife talk about the experience they've had collectively as a family with the dogs and the impact of the dogs. It was just a great experience for me, and the irony is this: get this, people. Fred had just done a live. And the craziest thing happened that morning. His house caught on fire.
What?
So when I tell you that faith is everything in terms of your belief in getting work done. I mean, we were on the phone even about what he had just experienced, and he was in tears. He said, "Trev, I think it just hit me now." But some electrical fire broke out. Whole garage went up in flames. His garage isn't real huge. Ran into the fence because he's like, "I swear, I thought I was going to be getting a dead puppy." He had a puppy that he's kept off duty that he's bringing up, and he couldn't see 5 feet in front of him. It was that bad. And when I got there, the refrigerator, some metals, some things they were gone. Wow. TV, this is a real thing. So mind you, I get there at roughly 9:40, and the man was just putting out a fire 3 hours ago in his house.
That's
and
crazy.
Still showed me the utmost hospitality. Took care of me while I was there. Great experience. Just which goes to show this whole time I've been building these relationships with men I believe who are great and can be impactful. And it was worth every cent, every second.
I think we've always emphasized the importance of relationships and how people undervalue them. And the reality is that, man, trust me, relationships are everything. And so this episode, we're going to discuss the ABKC Nationals, which is coming up, which for those who are coming to visit, be sure to reach out to us because we are going to be setting up in a room somewhere near the Nationals, and we're going to be interviewing a lot of people and shooting other episodes of the podcast and trying to, help bring value and get the word out, and also be filming some of these amazing dogs. So we've got some dogs, right, that we're going to talk about in this episode. That have a good shot at winning the national championship.
A very, very good shot. Judges come to judge the dogs and not the people. Then it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like a coin toss right now when you think about it. Now, you had talked about a dog named Blue that we plan on filming Dave and interviewing Dave when he gets here. He went down to Cancun.
Yeah.
Did you hear information on how well he did?
He from my understanding, Samson beat him. And Samson normally lives over on BRC.
Okay.
I think that's where he does most of his damage. He's coming out of the woodworks, and competitively speaking, he can show up and change some things. But that's if they're going for mass. Yeah. He's a massive dog.
Well, speaking of the BRC, Zero just won the national championship there.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he ended up winning nationals.
Another surprise.
Yeah.
And the thing is there's been very few dogs who've done that. It's kind of like in the bodybuilder world where they win the Arnold and then they go and win the Olympia.
It kind of reminds me a lot lot about that, right? And you went out to Cali. You also shot a dog by the name of Dooley.
Dooley, man. Like I said, great time, great experience. Pictures don't do him justice.
I think that's another thing that we need to really discuss. That if we're at that level now where if you're in the game, you need to have someone who can film your dog correctly. Like as far as like the pros and cons of what you've seen, and not to disrespect anybody who's filmed the dogs in the past, and it's not like that, but when it came to your vision, when you've seen the dog, what were some of the things that when you saw him in photos that you were going to enhance or highlight his features?
I study for videography and photography, and so I understand the simple ways in which you can affect With affect being A, meaning it can emotionally impact someone when you see a great photo, right?
Yeah.
Or a great video. And the effects are the boosting, the contrast, highlight, shadows. So when you're shooting something black, I happen to be black. So
wow.
You learn very quickly things you don't want to do when shooting African Americans. And that same thing translates to anything else that's black.
Yeah.
And you'll lose a lot of things in the shadows shadows because most time you shoot a dog like Dooley against something black. So I said, Fred, his colors are stones. He needs to be potentially against some bricks.
Yeah.
He needs to be against that sand where we saw the depth, the density of the dog.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they've washed out his forearms. They've washed out his shoulders different times. You see more striations or definition in the shoulder. And just because I boosted the ISO, it pulled in more light, which highlighted the darkness of the dog.
Yeah.
And some of the photos, as simple as shooting him, going to catch the ball on the line, look different than other pictures that they've taken because they didn't know how to capture the dog correctly.
And I think that has to also falls in line with handlers. Having a proper handler to showcase your dogs, because I mean, you see some of these dogs out there and you're just like, when they're I guess when they're stacked, they look phenomenal, and then when you see them in person, they don't really nearly look the same. But then you have the opposite effect where dogs you don't look very well in photos and stuff, but then they get stacked and you're like, oh, okay, damn, that dog looks amazing.
And similar to that, to the bodybuilding world, a lot of the professionals go to see ballet people.
Yeah.
Because presentation is key, right? So there's a lot of things that some of these people know how to hide when stacking the dog when they're a great handler.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things they know how to highlight. David and I did a live, which is still saved on the Fipperly Kennels page. And he talked about how he lost to a dog who, with respect, was inferior to Blue.
Yeah.
The first time, I think the third time he went and showed him.
Yeah.
And that's when Kira, her husband, reached out and said, hey, we want to work with Blue because I think we can help you out.
Yeah.
And just letting them, him handing off the reins and letting them do their thing, it changed how people saw Blue.
Yeah.
Because they knew how to properly present him. Presentation is key, even down to the packaging versus the box of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
It all makes you feel like you're opening up a present. And I remember when I was there when they made that shift with the guy who owned the name CT in Overland Park, Kansas. And he's like, you got to switch the boxes. I said, why? Because it's like getting a gift.
Yeah.
And I said, that's very interesting. It's the little nuances that people need to highlight to really make something feel to look special. Yeah,
it's part of your brand, and like so, presentation is a big deal. I remember when we switched from putting dogs on the boxes to actually simplifying and increasing the quality of the box, putting our logo on there, really pushing the logo really hard. Like people, we get so many compliments. Like they love the box. Yeah. Like they want to collect the box. And
like a 350 box coming from the Yeezys.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. Presentation, man, it matters. But I think the other point that he made about getting with a good videographer, if you're a breeder, if you have a dog that's top in the ABKC or in any organization, you need to make sure we're in a digital time.
Yeah.
And if you are on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, you want to highlight how great your dog is, because if it is one of the better than average dogs, people should be putting that dog in their pedigree.
Yeah.
So people like me are very valuable because we highlight and showcase the dog in ways that you say, wow, I need that.
Yeah.
And that's the difference a lot of times.
Yeah, man. Again, presentation's everything. When I just got done writing a proposal and presenting it, and as I was writing it, I learned even more about my product than I really initially thought I knew about it. And I built that how do you call it? I got really personal with the product, with feeling it, opening it up, and then starting capturing all of the different type of people that now back up the vest. Eventually we of course we have veterinarians who believe in it. We have professional canine trainers and handlers, people compete in dog sports. We have a animal chiropractics, and now we have dog psychology center, and that all needs to be featured on the site. That's part of the presentation. That's part of the story. As we talked earlier, is that if we're going to reach the everyday dog, we've got to present everyday dogs, on the site. And so,
and what it does too. I mean, the psychology part of what that, I think you said something in another episode about putting the weights in different areas, getting the dog to think. People don't. You don't know how many how much your dog actually thinks a day.
Yeah.
I know we just say, oh, it's just a dog. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
What that dog can do. Some of these dogs are Houdini.
Yeah, and you know, as far as like on social media too, like when people, you know, we get a lot of messages or people interested in the product, right? And so when we're running these ads and people are interested in the product, when I actually put a voice, when I reply with a voice message, they can feel the passion, the way I'm presenting the product, you know.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. And you guys that are in this game, man, like your dogs are your product. Right? Like, so the way you present them, I mean, how many times have you seen just a shitty photo of a dog and you're like, oh, I would never use that dog, and then you finally see the dog in person, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
you know, I will say that there's been quite a few issues.
Yeah.
You know, and things that just don't do the dog justice because you don't get measurements in the photos. You can't really see it. Some of the photos, people unfortunately are using blurb and bloat tools and lying as well.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of crazy. You know, remember that dog I think his name is Hulk, right? Oh, like the way he presented him, like you put him in front and it made him look like 300 pounds instead of whatever he normally weighs. I've never seen a dog in person, so I don't know. But you know, but at the end of the day, man, the way you present things, man, can drastically change. I've seen dogs that look massive, and I've seen them in person. They're tiny as fuck.
Yeah, and then you guys have to learn about what we call a wet coat as well. A wet coat can add 2 to 3 inches on someone's head and their
Hold on. What's a wet coat?
Also, so there's a dry coat, and what you get is this wiry hair. Then you get the wet coat, which Ego actually has as a wet coat. And the wet coat hides a lot of truth. And when you pull the skin back and you get real measurements along with weight, you'd be like, oh, this dog doesn't have a 26-inch head. He's got a 24-inch head. It really impacts a lot of things, but that goes to you really knowing what you're looking for when you're doing the dog thing. And I know a guy personally who called the dog out, and when they did the numbers, it took 2 inches off of his head alone because the guy was hyping up. I mean, down to his neck and everything.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of what causes this coat in the American Bully specifically. Yeah. But I'm going to. I just learned about this more recently.
Yeah, it's something new to me. I know that, you know, when my father used to breed those, you know, king pigeons, I mean, a pigeon would look fluffy, but you'd actually have to pick the bird up, and you wanted a tight feather. If it looked massive with tight feather, you know, versus almost kind of like a fluffy, you know, you pick up the bird and it's all like, damn, there's nothing here. It's no substance.
Density it does carry, you know, real weight per se, and a lot of these dogs look more, and then you don't get the dog that you thought you were going to get.
Yeah.
You know, and I would tell people, even presentation wise too, remember this: if you are a breeder, your dog, you gotta choose the right breeds to really highlight your dog.
Yeah.
I did a breeding here recently, and one of my concerns moving forward is the fact that the dog's a gorgeous dog, but it hasn't went to dogs that can show me if it carries genes or it produces. And so then I really have to bet on my girls to solve for more issues than I thought. Yeah. And the formula has to change a little bit because this girl's boys will be more valuable than this girl's girl. You know, it's just. And so make sure the first 3 breedings you do, if you are, they also are part of your presentation. Yeah. Because then you can know as a breeder if your dog is a producer or if it's a carrier. And then kind of go from there. Now,
we got, you know, we talked about Dooley, we talked about Zero, we talked about Blue, we talked about Samson. You hear of any dogs that are under the radar that might come in and sneak up and possibly take it off?
You know, I'm not going to say no names, man, especially in the Frenchie space. Right now, we've got...
Do you think a Frenchie's going to win the ABKC Nationals?
I don't think it's going to win the ABKC Nationals, but...
Do you think they'll pick anything outside of it, like an American bully?
With the bullies that are currently available, no.
Yeah.
It'll be very difficult to do so, but anything's possible.
Yeah.
There's a great English bulldog, and I can't think of his name, but he's been campaigning on the cover of a few magazines. There's a... and like I said, you got Aegon, I believe, who's the top French bulldog in the ABKC right now, could potentially win, you know, the best in show. We're talking, to do that, you normally have to win upwards of 50+ shows that year. Yeah. And he's done that. You know, so this is not something to, you'll be surprised. Yeah. What could happen and what could change. Yeah. But that's what happens on any given Sunday, right? They get one chance to show, not 4 times to show. You get one grand champ class and then they come back for the best in show. That's it.
Let's say you look at the top 4 dogs that we kind of talked about, and if I failed to mention anybody else's name, make sure you come up to me at the show and let me know. And I like to see a dog, especially, you know, if you guys got a high quality dog, we definitely want to see them in person. But let's just say all 4 of them are at peaked. They're at their prime. They're showing their best.
Yeah.
Who would you think in order?
I mean,
you know, I'm gonna put you on the fucking spot, man.
No, you're good, man. You know, I like the way that Blue looks, but you know, all day, every day, I'm gonna have to go with Dooley at this moment in time. And there's no bias. I love David. I'm gonna shoot. I can't wait to shoot to Blue. But when you look at the breed standard and kind of the origin, there's a tightness. He's cheeky, which is something that they used to use back in the day.
Yeah.
He's got strong jawline, just strong features that really showcase. It's like if you put the history of American Bully and brought it to a new age time, Dooley would be it.
Yeah.
And the other dogs, you know, I think Blue's second to being a beautiful dog in terms of like breed standard. And then you got dogs that just get a little too far left in terms of slop. And I did a whole video on why the American Bully needs the Bulldog. So I'm like, hey, let's quit avoiding the fact that we put it in there, it's in there. Let's find a way to work through its issues and then build from there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at, I mean, Dooley's dense, man. Like I said, the pictures, the video, the wideness, the thickness, the feet, the structure. Oh, man.
And it's kind of crazy. And you think, you don't think Samson can defend his title?
I don't think if they really look at the breed type, and you know, again, because Samson's is a massive dog. It's kind of like why Dorian Yates beat Flex Wheeler, and then Ronnie Coleman came out, beat him again. And, you know, Flex had perfect symmetry, great muscle bellies, but these guys are 300 pounds with 5% body fat. How do we compete with mass? But mass doesn't mean quality, you know, and that doesn't say that any other dog's not quality. It's just like, if we really take a look at the breed type, that any wrinkles on the face, there should be no wrinkles, man.
Yeah.
An American Bully should be, I mean, we're talking tight lip, tight skin, tight everything.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah. When you think about it, man, like, so if you were to put your money down, who you got winning it?
Oh man, I've never bet, but I would hope that they give. You know, I'll be very honest in saying I think that David deserves it. To be clear, and I just think everybody wants a fair shot. To be clear, but I think Blue should win. If I had to put my money down, I don't see how they're going to not give it to him. But if there was a second option, it would have to be Dooley.
Man, that lineup at the end is going to be sick.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm gonna have to.
This could be historical. Right? Like, literally can be historical.
It could be, you know, and that's the other part about, I think the ABKC hasn't done a good job of marketing the opportunity that it provides for dogs to be great. Yeah. You know, so we're getting to this place where we're all kind of like, we found these dogs, right? You end up going to a show and somebody reach out and say, man, we want the vest, we want this. Yeah. We're like, oh, who are you? Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a good looking dog. We have to go to these other organizations and sniff them out. Yeah. And if the ABKC had, you know, on its website even a part where they could show what's going on visually,
like a live stream
or something that showcases in photo format all the things that took place that year, and the dogs that are coming to these shows. Hire a professional photographer or videographer to showcase. You know, even at the big shows. Imagine if it was just like maybe 10 shows that they captured over a year. Yeah. You kind of could see what was coming. There's no anticipation for the show outside of the dog people or dog fanatics.
Why do you think that's not being done?
Oh, well, you know, that's a money thing. Yeah. That's a money thing and a lazy thing, and people think they got it thing. But the ones who are successful, you never see the artists and, you know, the actors even stop doing red carpets, right? Yeah. Who gonna go watch the movie if we don't go watch our own movie or get people to come out? And I think some models need to be followed in that regard. Yeah. So I don't know how big the ABKC needs to be, but one thing that we've discussed, not me and you specifically, but we've posed questions and walked down a rabbit hole of when will the American Bully be a mainstream dog? How do we get there?
You think it'll ever be AKC recognized?
No.
No. Yeah.
No, I actually think the name is wrong. Who wants an American Bully? Like that didn't even sound. It didn't sound good in my mind. At least you think the minute you hear bully, like that's not a good word. Not in today's time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I can see your point there. What would you have named it?
Well, originally with the cross, because it was supposedly just a terrier and a Staffordshire, I just called it an American Terrier.
Yeah.
And then went from there.
They don't have American Terriers?
No, it's not a thing. So if we just cross into Staffy,
I thought they had the American Bull Terrier.
Bull Terrier, but just an American Terrier. That's it. But the minute you add bully to it, it's off-putting, man.
Yeah.
And you know, this is with respect. For something to really catch one, white folks got to get behind it. It's just the truth. Black people make it cool and they spend the money. That's how it goes. Crocs, all that shit. Like, they can start wearing Crocs. They got Crocs with Tupac on them now.
Yeah, Crocs is blown up.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Go down the line. Who?
What do you think about those new Yeezys?
Which ones?
Yeah, what is it? The foam ones.
They don't feel comfortable. I'll be honest with you.
You put them on?
They're only $80 and resell for about $4.50 and some change. I was gonna go get them, just so I go get them.
That sounds like a good business strategy if you could have got them.
$80 and resell for $4.50.
Yeah.
$3.50 bare minimum, absolutely. But I can't justify like an $80 shoe and then paying them $400 because it doesn't feel that great. There's a part in it on the left part of your foot if you're looking at your left side. And part of the plastic, the way it cuts into your top foot, especially if you go barefoot.
Are you going to get the Yeezy haircut?
Never. I don't know what that thing is.
I'm just saying, man.
Somebody slapped him in the head with 52 boomerangs.
The guy's a marketing genius.
That's all that matters. Is he, you know, even I put in my story that him and Drake are together and Jay Prince connected the whole thing. Look, I follow the hip hop nonsense, so I know what's going on.
I don't think a lot of people understand how powerful Jay Prince is.
You know, he talks too damn slow. If you ever listen to Jay Prince, he go, bro, can you get to the point, man? Jesus. And if I had to sit up in any of the jokers and let him drink and then talk to me all night, he'd be there for 6 days straight, bro, trying to get while he get his point across.
Yeah.
But whatever he's doing, he's done a good job because he's, as he said, you know, let's get him together. So who you went to go see with the CDA.
Yeah.
And that person then neutralizes any issues and puts them in the same space, and now they're together. And if they do come out on stage together, it will be one of the biggest events of the year.
It's one of those crazy things that we've talked about. What's the best-selling item? It's usually a versus item. You know what I mean? It's. I mean, the Bible's the #1 selling book in history, right? And then so if you think about it, you got two top-tier artists like Ye and Drake. Of course, you have them. You have a controversial beef with each other, right?
Yeah. And then you bring them together.
Yeah.
And the duet.
Yeah.
That in itself is going to affect everybody, man.
Yeah. Do you think the Drake and Meek Mill's battle hurt Meek at all?
No, Meek didn't lose no money.
Yeah.
Meek's one of those guys, if you really study him, who's got real relationships. So when you look at, you know, the fact that he had Robert Kraft visiting him in jail, the fact that Ruben, you know, the guy who's part owner in, he sold the business. He has real money.
Yeah.
Is a supporter of him. And Ruben walked down the whole line of trying to, like, yo, this isn't real. And then when he saw, I mean, Ruben opened up his own personal investigation on the judge who was fucking Meek Mill over.
Yeah.
She's a fucking awful person. He's like, it blew my mind how many things she had got away with.
Yeah.
And the things she had done. And then I understood what Meek said. Because we were going right across the street and he goes, I can't go there. He says, man, it's right across the street. Basically, it would have been out of his parole.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction, yeah. So when you look up, you go, he goes, there's two different Americas. There's Black America and White America. And Ruben was like, nah, that's not true. Yeah. And then he sat in on the court case. He sat in on the things. He got in with Jay-Z. Now they raised $6 million and they dealt with Meek stuff. And you know, Robert would say, how come you're so happy? He says, this whole time I always been fighting. Nobody was backing me. Now I got people who are supportive and believe in me. Yeah. It changed everything. And you had everybody come to Meek's rescue. Yeah. Even after the beef. And shit, Drake said something. Beyonce said something. Jay-Z said something. And music, which all touches everybody. These are mainstream artists. So you didn't get to avoid or overlook what was happening to Meek and now what they're doing with so many other people that are wrongfully accused or, you know, just walking down a road that's just extensive because of the color of their skin. Yeah, it's this whole critical race theory thing is just bananas, right? Like it's kind of crazy. But I think like right now, like especially right now, you're seeing a lot of truth, man. Like I sit there and I'll watch CNN and I'm just like,
they'd be like, I would never tell a liar. I would tell it like this, and you know, they're always misleading. And while they're telling a story about misleading someone, they're misleading people. And it's just kind of like, you know, I can't be the only one who like sees this shit. You know, and this media in general. It could be Fox. It could be. It's like these motherfuckers are straight lying. Like it's almost so bold. You know, like it's kind of fucking crazy when you think about it.
It is an interesting dynamic. I think. The other day, Gary Vee said, you know, people hate when social media is done, but wouldn't you want to be the author of your own story?
Yeah.
And find the truth and the lies. And imagine all the lies we've listened to because of major media outlets for years. Not having the full story, just the full story on even the George Floyd situation changed how people view things because there's no way you can not see or unsee what really took place.
They were doing some survey, I think I just saw the other day, where they thought the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, where they thought Kyle killed 3 black people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's how the media played it out, and they're defending and not to go down this whole political rabbit hole and stuff, but you know, to defend a child molester. You know what I mean? Like with 11 or 12 accounts of child molestation.
That's what
one of the guys it was like 9. The kids were like between 9 and 12, and they're all boys. He had one where it's like anal penetration, and
this Kyle kid?
No, it was one of the guys he shot. All 3 of them were convicted felons.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
And what color were they?
White.
Oh, see, that's interesting.
And one of them, they got him on. They just showed a video where he's like using the hard N word, using the hard R, using the hard R. You know, and they're like, well, it's okay. Just give him a pass. You know, like
it's no look. I don't know.
This shit is bananas, man.
That is crazy. Look, I haven't kept track because there's so much in America that's going on.
Well, fucking TikTok, bro.
Yeah, no, and TikTok's the god. I tell you right now, you want some fucking information, you get on goddamn TikTok. That motherfucker's going.
Your experience right now, you've been posting a lot on there, right? So let's talk about that. Like, what are you seeing that's catching a lot of traction for you?
Well, that's the thing. You know, I think Gary Vee said study and then effect. Yeah. And what's crazy is before I even followed him on TikTok, I got on now almost a year ago. Yeah. And I did. I was like, what's going on here? And I told my buddies, I said, hey, you guys need to get on TikTok. And I got on, and I didn't say nothing. Yeah. So a couple of them found me, and this one had like 14,000 followers. Yeah. They were like, yo, I didn't know you. I was like, bro, the niggas ain't following me nowhere. I said, but I told you to post and post and post. Yeah. And then you go look at the Charlie, and you look at the Addison. What did they do for a year straight where everybody was sitting in their house? They boom, beat content down people's throat. Yeah. So for one, it just depends on the day. Sometimes it depends on the time, but my community at this moment in time is built off of dogs. Yeah. But the one thing, as we all get into a more of a digital space, is having a community to reach and talk to and affect in whatever way possible. So I spend a lot of time with dogs. Yeah. So that's where I normally, I share that. And I put fitness stuff, videography, all this shit. You
were eating goat piss popsicle.
Yeah, man, that motherfucker was gross. Fucking tamarino. I'm like, oh, hey, that was a real reaction.
So, what are some of your most effective videos? Like, what's really effective for us? Like you said, beating the contact down. Yeah. But I notice when I do duets with certain trainers, like and they have valid points and stuff like that. Those really do well.
One of the things I would say is, and this is the part that I haven't practiced, is even voiceovers. So if I do some voiceover stuff with the dog, explaining things, it'll do well. The irony is there's another Stan that me and Stan both know, and when I had 30, he had 14, and I said, dude, you're fucking getting bit every day for nothing. You need to explain and walk them through a process. So even if you go to some of his largest videos where he's explaining things and, hey, this is so-and-so, he went from 14 to 90 literally in a matter of months because TikTok is a visceral, visual place. Yes. Visceral meaning you got to stay on it. Visual, because that's all it is videos, right? People try the picture thing, no one cares. You need to fucking put some videos up and people need to hear your voice and be tuned in. Yeah. So I haven't even had hit phase 2 where I'm like really going in, but realistically I just take shit off of my IG and Snapchat and put it there. There's nothing different. Marcus, he'll tell you like you don't do nothing different.
The algorithms are really bananas on there. Like you can't figure them out. Like
that's it. But as I think the other thing, and I'm using Gary Vee as an example because he's innovative and smart enough to kind of like drop dimes. He said you got 2 years to really go viral and build up your TikTok. Yeah. 2 years left. So build your community up and then feed them and get them to follow you and lead them into the promising.
Yeah.
So, you know, how-tos are always going to be successful. People who do the, hey, such and such change today and you can grow your such and such, they seem to do well. And the people who are just being themselves.
Yeah.
That's it. You got a product, and, you know, I've seen the videos and great content. People follow it, it makes sense, and they're like, oh, wow. Let me deal with this stuff. And now that you've got more dogs and dogs in general, it'll start connecting them to an experience that they may be having with their dog, and it'll keep growing your page as well.
Yeah, I notice on Instagram when I run these ad messages, like, because, you know,
listen, people, sometimes our topics get a little bit longer. We don't want to cut it just at 30. If we're really rolling, we keep this thing going. Therefore, at the end of our YouTube, you will see, hey, jump on the links listed below. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, where else? Google.
Wherever else you guys list us at.
Yeah, wherever we're listed at, and continue to follow and listen to the show, whatever we're talking about. Hopefully you enjoy the topics. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys' support.
Yeah, and as always, man, leave us a comment, subscribe, share. In the comments or in the reviews, also, you know, leave us some topics that you would like us to discuss. You know, we don't hold back, so if you want us to talk about something, be sure to leave it there. So, as always,
Team X Dog Strong.